Right now here in Gig Harbor, some homes are just stuck. 76 days on the market, price cuts, frustrated sellers. But at the same time, other homes are getting bought up in the first weekend with multiple offers. It is a totally weird market, and that's what we're going to dive into in this video. My name is Darren Rivers. I am the Northwest Realtor, and I'm managing broker of the Rivers Group. My team and I help hundreds and hundreds of clients buy and sell homes in and around Gig Harbor all the time. So we're going to talk about types of homes that are flying off the shelves and compare those to the types of homes that are sitting on the market and going through those frustrating price drops. Okay, before we start with the specific homes that are either flying off the shelves or the ones that are struggling to sell, let's go into a couple of things and give you some background, educate ourselves on what a buyer's market is, what a seller's market is, and a couple different pricing strategies. So, seller's market versus buyer's market. It's all about inventory, okay? So a balanced market is supposedly where there's 4 to 6 months of inventory on the market. And what that means is if there is no more homes listed today going forward, and all the homes that are currently on the market get sold, if all of those evaporate in the next 4 to 6 months, it's a balanced market. If they take less than that amount of time to sell, that means there's not a lot of inventory and you're in a seller's market. And if it's above 6 months, then there's a lot more inventory. They're not being sold as quickly, and then it's a buyer's market. So that's how you really define what a buyer's market is versus a seller's market, is months worth of inventory available. And right now in the Gig Harbor area, we're still sitting around 2.5 months worth of inventory. So per the definition, we're still in a seller's market. But the reason that the seller's market isn't flying off the charts right now like it was a few years ago is because interest rates have gone up quite a bit. So the buyer's demand has come down. So while our inventory is still low, the demand that the buyers have is a little bit lower as well. So the market is acting much more like a balanced market, even though our inventory is slightly lower than what it should be if you were in a true balanced market, per the definition that we've all been taught. Okay, so let's talk about the different pricing strategies. And whenever I do listings appointments, I go through 3 different pricing strategies. One of them is aspirational pricing, one of them is market-based pricing, and one of them is event-based pricing. So let's break down what those are, okay? Aspirational pricing is where you have a home and you're gonna set aspirational price. And you know that you are aiming for the stars and you're hoping somebody gets close. You also probably know that you're gonna get offers under asking price and you're gonna have to negotiate coming down. Where this really works is if you have a super unique home. If you have a tract home that's a dime a dozen, there's nothing special about it or unique about it, this pricing strategy won't work. You're gonna have to get something that's really special for this pricing strategy to work. And most of the time, I don't recommend it for those reasons. Okay, so the next pricing strategy is market-based pricing. And this is what it seems like most sellers are comfortable with doing. And that's where their agent and themselves sit down and they really go through the comps that have sold recently in the area and come up with a fair price. And in this way, you're expecting fair offers right around asking price. You know, it might take a week or two to sell your home. There's no surprises one way or the other. It's just truly trying to price it appropriately and fairly to bring people in. It's what people are most comfortable with. They don't feel like they're taking a risk one way or the other. And it usually works pretty well. All right, the last pricing strategy that we're going to talk about, and this perhaps is my favorite one, it's called event-based pricing. And here's what we do, is I have to get the seller comfortable with taking a little bit of a risk, but really they think they're taking a risk, but they're not taking a risk. And the reason is just because you get an offer, it does not mean that you have to accept it. So it's really a risk-free thing that works out really well. And what we do is we figure out what your home is most likely going to sell for, and we price it a little bit under that, maybe 5 or 6% under what we think it might actually sell for. And what does that do? That creates a bidding war. You're going to get multiple offers. You're going to have multiple buyers coming in. They're going to write offers with escalation clauses that climb and climb and climb. They're going to get emotionally invested in the home, and they're going to be willing to pay a few thousand more dollars to beat the next best offer. And the price ends up going up and up and up, and your sales price ends up being way above the list price. You get more money than you ever thought of. People think they're taking a risk because they're starting low, but they're not really. It's just starting an auction. That's all you're doing. You're creating an eBay bidding war, and it works out really really, really well, but you have to price it appropriately to begin with. If you start too high, it all goes down the toilet. So let's talk about listing that is not selling. It is sitting on the market. And in my opinion, these guys use that aspirational selling price. So we're out in front of a condo in downtown Gig Harbor, and this condo is on the water. There's not very many of these. It is a prime location with a great view. The supply of this is next to nothing. So you would think that the demand would be there. But in my opinion, and the market has spoken, they started way too high. They started at almost $3 million. They've been on the market for over 3 months now, and it's crickets. They haven't gotten anything. And the reasons behind this, well, everything is priced. This is an extreme example, but if they would have started at $1 million, they would have gotten multiple offers and climbed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But in my opinion, they started just way too high. The condo, it's a great location. You can't change the location at all, and you don't want to. The location's fantastic, but the inside is really dated. It needs a full facelift on the upside to bring it up to modern type stuff. So that's a lot of money. And the market, which is an able and willing buyer, has spoken and said nobody's worth that. Nothing like this is worth near $3 million yet. If it was, it would have already been taken. Here is the key. Price is everything. When it comes down to it, if you're going to sell a property, it's based on price. I don't care if you have a shack that is falling over and is good for firewood. There is a price that it'll sell. There is a price, a list price, where you're going to get multiple offers and it's going to go up. You got to remember the list price is an invitation. It's an invitation for a buyer to come in and make an offer. And really their offer is a counter offer, because these guys, they're offering this condo for just under $3 million. You're going to counter it with, hey, I'm willing to give you $2 million for it. So the negotiations start right off the bat. It's just an invitation to come in. Again, nobody sets the price except for an able and willing buyer, which is the market. Okay, so we're going to look at another example of a home that is just sitting on the market and losing value and having price reductions and all of that. And that is that one right across the street. So we are downtown Gig Harbor on Harbor View. So this home started at $2.8 million way back in October, and now they've had over $500,000 worth of price drops, and it's still sitting on the market. So again, their pricing strategy was probably that aspirational price. It's downtown Gig Harbor, which is pretty rare. It's right in the heart of everything, which is pretty rare, but they just overshot it. And again, the market, which is an able and willing buyer, nobody's willing to pay $2.8 million for it, and now they've dropped it to under 2.3, and it's still sitting on the market. So why? Well, it's on Harbor View Drive. So it's right on the drive. A lot of people don't want to live on a busy street. This is kind of a busy street, especially on the weekends and things like that. And when people are getting near $3 million, they're sort of expecting like Waterfront. Well, this isn't Waterfront. It's across the street, and it's got a water view from their front living room, but their front yard, it's just, they overshot the price. Okay, so let's talk about these last two places that are overpriced, and the market has said they're overpriced and they're still sitting on the market. And this is where sellers need to have very realistic expectations and have a good agent that's advising them. Now, ultimately, the list price is up to the seller. Our job as agents is to advise you as best we can as what will likely work. You know, I've had clients that want to list higher than what I recommend, and we just kind of make a deal. I'm like, okay, we can try it, but if we don't get anything good in the first, 2 weeks, 30 days, something like that, if we get no showings or showings all come back just with the feedback that it's overpriced, well, then we adjust accordingly quickly. Because if the house sits on the market for 6 months, like the one across the street is, they've had $500,000 worth of price reductions, and it's probably just going to get worse. If they would have started appropriately, they would have sold quicker for a higher amount at the end of the day. Now, believe me when I say this, like sometimes pricing is hard, especially in those aspirational price levels where you have a very unique property, because sometimes it's hard to find true comparables. So you are within a little bit of a range, throwing a dart as to what you think the market will bear. And that's why it's really important to adjust if the market says that it's not worth it and you're not getting any offers. So the home across the street, it's not totally unique. There's other homes that have sold up and down Harbor View Drive for sure, but nothing has sold, especially on that side of the street, for near $3 million. Now, if that home was sitting where I'm at and it was on the water like this, well, then you might actually have a $3 million house. Okay, let's talk about a success story, and that is this charming house behind me. So this was a mixture between the aspirational price, because it's a very unique property, and they also did the event-based pricing because they started the list price a little bit lower. But think about it. You have a very unique house. Now it's going to appeal to only a certain population because of how unique it is. Not everybody wants a home like this. Some people want much more of a traditional or new construction or whatever it may be. But this is like few and far between. It's on acreage. You have privacy. There's all this greenery. We're out in Kopachuk, and they priced it in such a way to get buyers interested, get buyers out on the first weekend. Actually, my team won this deal. Ashley was the head agent on this deal, and she beat out several other offers. Now they had to go above asking price because they set that event-based pricing. So they set the price down here. Offers came in, escalated, and Ashley finally won it. So again, this place is just an example of you can use a blend of some of those pricing strategies. You definitely have the unique style here, but they didn't go to that aspirational price, right? They kept it more at the event-based price, and then they rose up to that aspirational price. And by the way, there's a couple of QR codes down here. Feel free to download those. One is my relocation guide. One is our neighborhood quiz, all about Gig Harbor. So download those, and all my information is right here as well. My team and I would love to help you out if you have any interest in real estate in the Gig Harbor area at all. And even for that matter, if you just have questions about anything going on in the harbor, we'd love to be the resource for you. Okay, so now I'm standing in the street in the neighborhood of Horizon West, which is kind of west-north Gig Harbor. And we are going to talk about fair market pricing strategy. And this house right here took a full advantage of that. So this is bread and butter Gig Harbor. This house got listed about a month ago for $1.15 million. And in one day, they got a full price offer, ended up closing 30 days later, which is about standard, and it closed for $1.15 million. So these guys and their agent looked around the neighborhood, looked at what was selling, priced their house appropriately, and boom, right away they got their full asking price. But it's the perfect place for it. We're in the perfect neighborhood for a fair market pricing, because this is bread and butter Gig Harbor. I mean, just look at this neighborhood. It's classy, it's clean, all the homes are somewhat unique. They're not right on top of each other, but it's still got that cozy neighborhood feel and sense of community. This is what Gig Harbor is all about. Okay, so this house behind me, they did a perfect example of event-based pricing. They went on the market just a little bit under what the house was most likely worth. They set an offer review date for 5 days later. So that means they started taking offers, say on a Thursday. They set an offer review date for Monday, get people to come in over the weekend, build all the momentum going. They ended up with 5 offers, and they went about $20,000 over their original asking price, and they sold it for 20 grand over. So good for them. They did it perfectly. They created a small bidding war. Now, we're not in the bidding wars like the COVID days where that would have gone for $100,000 over. We're just not in that market, but they still created a market similar to that and got higher than asking price. So as you can see, this is a fairly unique home, but it's got some elements that are rare. So the demand is pretty high and the supply is pretty low, because right over here is the detached ADU, which is an income producing property if you want to use it as that. Can also, extended family can stay in it, a guest house, whatever it may be. But attached or detached ADUs in the Gig Harbor area are kind of rare. So the supply is low, the demand is high. They created a bidding war. They did everything right. Okay, everybody, that is it. That is some pricing strategies and how the market works with aspirational pricing, fair market pricing, or event pricing. And also we touched on a little bit of what a seller's market is compared to a buyer's market as far as months of inventory. If you have any questions about anything that you've seen on this video, please feel free to reach out to my team or myself. All of our information is right here as well. Again, those QR codes are right there as well for the neighborhood guide and our neighborhood quiz. So make sure you check those out, and we'll see you on the next video.